Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Those who have joined us in person in the classroom and those who have joined us online, I welcome you to English grade 11. My dear learners, now let's see what students learning outcome we are going to do today. Now this is very evident, as you can see. This is from your reading and critical thinking competency. We have covered numerous other students learning outcomes of the same competency in the previous lessons. Now it's time to do another one. This is our lecture number 8. I hope that you are attending the previous lectures and you're understanding them well. Our purpose is, by the end of the lesson, to actually achieve our students learning outcome so that we leave nothing in the SLO, and also all the important keywords should be addressed. Now let's read it and then break it down. It says, interpret and integrate information from a variety of sources for comprehension. For example, maps, graphs, charts, and diagrams. Now, in the previous lesson, we talked about summarizing any text and then developing a mind map to put it in those graphical organizers. We talked about mind map, diagram, table, charts, flow charts, etc. Now, what we are going to do is to enhance our reading comprehension, our understanding, in order to get information from different sources that are mentioned over here so that we can understand the information and we can extract that effectively. We are going to use all these different sources to get our information and then see what we have learned. We can write a summary about it later on, or we can just take notes of that. Now it depends on you. Let's talk about getting information. Please move the next slide. Okay, here's your vertical linkage, and moving on. Now, it's time for a quick little brainstorming session. You can ask your questions in the comment below in the chat box. Now, to storm your brains a little bit, we have a prompt. Now, I hope that you are good readers, you read a lot. Think about a recent news story that you have read. What you're going to do is, could you understand it better if you also saw what? A map, a graph, a chart, or a diagram. Now, if that story, that particular news story had, if not, these kind of things mentioned over here, would it be better to understand it? Because we are visual learners. We learn by seeing, and it is very much, it stays prominent in our memory. So graphs, maps, charts, and diagrams, they give you extra information. They provide you with graphical representations and visual information that you can remember for the longest. Now, think about it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can pause the video. Think about it. If not, then find a news story when you get home. If you have free time, find that news story and look for these graphical organizers, graphical representations, and visuals, and see if they make a difference in the information that you are receiving. Now, this is your brainstorming session. Now, let's talk about comprehension. What is it? It means understanding of the whole text, the information that we are receiving in a very critical way, so that nothing is left that is not understandable. We get all the information and we then analyze it in our own ways. Let's see. Now, comprehension, which we are learning in the competency, is the ability to understand something. Comprehension means an ability to understand something. Now, it focuses on understanding, and we know that when we are getting information, when we are researching about anything, the text itself is not enough for that purpose. You have to look for other things, other sources that we talked about, and there are many more that you need to go through and extract the information, the salient points, and the main points. Now, what is it? It's a process, but it is a mental process that involves taking in information. We take the information, making sense of it. We see that if it is relevant to our topic, if it is making sense, am I getting the right variety of sources for that information? Now, the information is integrated, as we talked about in the student's learning outcome. We need to gather it. We need to put it into an order to make sense and relating it to what you already know. Your prior knowledge, which comes really handy. It is very important that you link your gathered information with your prior knowledge, your previous and existing knowledge. Now, the whole process that we have just read, reading, gathering information, putting in order, and then making sense out of it, this is just clearly mirroring your understanding and your comprehension of that text. Now, let's see. We said that there are different sources from where you can get your information. Now, there are maps. Not only the world map I'm talking about, there could be linguistic maps, there could be maps about different informations that will be mapping out in front of you so that you can watch it, you can learn it, and then you can gather the relevant information. So maps can be about any subject, any concept, etc. One thing we talked about was a mind map that we create in order to put the information in the right place. Now, the maps can be used to show the location of different things as well as the relationships between them. Now, not only that we utilize maps for looking up the whole world, the countries, the continents, etc., but we also actually see the relations between different things. Now, let's look at an example. A map of a city might show the location of schools, hospitals, and parks. And if some relevant information is mentioned with that map, with colors, different color schemes, different kind of percentages, now you need to look at that map and extract your relevant information in order to cater your comprehension. Another thing is a thing called chart. Now, it can be used to compare and contrast different categories of information. Now, if you have information in one sense and if something is actually contrasting it, you can just put it in a chart, for example, a flow chart, and then you can put that concept in front of you, or if it is already given to you, you can read that chart to extract the relevant information. For example, a bar chart might show the number of students enrolled in different schools in a city. Now, if you read that kind of bar chart, which is giving you information about how many students are enrolled in what schools in the whole city, you can, by understanding that, you can increase your comprehension and extract your information. So this is what our purpose is of today's video lesson, to extract information from these kind of different sources so that we can utilize them in our answers, in our tasks, and ultimately in our research about that particular topic. Now, here you can see a map with some percentages given over here. Now, this is percentage of population able to hold a conversation in English in the Europe by country. Now, if you have a little bit knowledge about the world map, you can clearly see that which country of the Europe is having can have the ability to hold conversation in the English language. Now, this will cater your research. This will help you to write about that topic particularly, etc. Now you can see that it's a map, but we can extract so much information about that particular topic. Now let's talk about charts. So let's say we are learning about tenses and we want to see that how the tenses can be used in our conversation. Now this is a tense/aspect chart. All those aspects are mentioned here in different columns, and these are the tenses mentioned in different rows. Now, the word is tensed in the perfect form, in the progressive, and the perfect progressive. Now, you can just relate it and read this whole chart to extract information. Now, this is very different from a regular text that you are habitual of reading. So you need to put your analytical and your observational skills in order to extract information. Now, we are done with two different types of sources. Let's talk about a graph. Now, graph can be used to show trends over time. For example, let's say we have a line graph, and it might show the average temperature in a city over the course of a year or a month. Now, we will see a graphical representation in the next slide. And diagrams, as you know, they can be used to show the relationship between different parts of a system. You make diagrams, you have been making it for all the grades in the previous grades. So you are familiar with diagrams like a simple diagram or a spider diagram, etc. So if you are extracting information, you need to be looking at a diagram and extract that relevant information. For example, there's a flow chart might show the steps involved in a process, and that would be indicated with arrows, and they will tell you the right order. If you're following a recipe, let's say, if you're making a program. So the flow chart will help you, which is kind of a diagram. Now here you can see a graph in front of you. My dear learners, you can pause the video if you're watching on YouTube, think about it and see what information can you extract from this very graph. Now, how do class 3 travel to school? This is our topic. I can see the most common way children get to school, or I can see how many children are in class 3 all together. I can read this graph. I can see that how many of them come by car, walk, bus, or cycle. So this is a graphical representation. It's a graph. So just by reading it, although there is no regular text in it, but still we can extract information from this graph. Now here you can see a kind of a mind map where the topic is centered in the middle and the supporting details are surrounded all over, and it is all over the place, and it is actually catering to the central topic. Now this is reasons to work visually. It caters communication, innovation, and clarity. And you can see the different kind of sub branches that are rooting, and they are coming from those branches. So this is how you read a mind map. This is you can call it a spider map as well, and you can extract so much information just by looking at this picture. Again, here, this is a way of making a mind map. Put your topic in the middle and then your subtopics and the supporting details at the end. And this way you can create a very good mind map that will map out all your ideas and your concept on paper so you can visualize it, you can see it clearly, and correct it if you are having any kind of mistake or if there is a gap in your knowledge and in your understanding. Now, this is a diagram in front of you. My dear learners, if you look it closely, this is about reading comprehension itself. Now, what do we need to do in order to have a good reading comprehension? We need listening comprehension, and then decoding capacity, fluency, and we need to use some strategies in order to be good at reading comprehension. You will be using your verbal intelligence, your vocabulary, and prior knowledge that will cater to your listening comprehension. All these helps in decoding, and cognitive speed influences your fluency and orientation or the purpose. This will be covered in the strategies part. So this is actually a diagram, and you can map out, you can make different diagrams of your concepts, and if you are coming across such diagrams, you can extract the relevant information quickly and easily. Now moving on with the simulation over here, a link will be shared with you. You can watch it on YouTube. You will learn more about the topic under discussion, which is extracting information from different and various sources. Now, this is your worksheet, and it's very graphical. It looks like a chart. Now, all you need to do is take a print of it. It will be handed over to you by your teacher. Clearly see it, and then you will write a very brief passage about the information that you have extracted. Do not repeat yourself, make the bullet points, and then submit it to your teacher. You can submit it to me as well if you contact me, and then I'll give you a feedback. Now, you can see there are pictures, numbers, there are symbols, some infographics. So all these are, the purpose of doing this is to make you able and to increase your comprehension of getting information from such kind of sources. Now for your homework, what you're supposed to do is you have to find two different sources. You can say a website or an article or your textbook that present information on the same topic, which is water cycle. But you will use different visuals. Visuals like a graph, and another visual will be a pie chart. Now, putting these two together, you will see that how much information you have gathered about that same topic. You will summarize the information presented in each source. You will create a Venn diagram. You're aware of a Venn diagram. If not, you can look it up to compare and contrast the information from the two sources. At the end, you will write a short paragraph about all the information that you have gathered. The topic is water cycle. Look for any graphs, maps, charts, diagrams, etc. and come up with your very brief paragraph which is intact and relevant to that topic and information. Now, here at the end, before taking some questions, I'd like to introduce all these resources like worksheet. It will be attached in the description of the video, your question bank, your skill sheet, PowerPoint presentation. All these will be given to you for your extra information, your knowledge, to put your ideas and your learned concept into practice. Now, thank you so much for listening at the end. I hope that we have achieved our students' learning outcome about extracting information from different various sources. We talked about maps, charts, diagrams, and also about graphs. So before concluding our lesson, let's see if we have some questions. Okay, I hope that you have understood it well. We have achieved our students' learning outcome. I'll see you in the next video lesson with another SLO about writing competency. Take care of yourselves, and Allah Hafiz.